Hey guys, welcome back to Camille's Corner. Y'all, I don't know how many of you watch 90 Day Fiance, but I only just started watching it from this season because everybody was talking about it. Every time I went on Facebook, I would see people talking about it, talking about the couples on the show and how crazy it was. So I finally caved in and I watched it just to see what all the hype was about. And after one episode, I was hooked, but not in a good way, okay? Y'all, it's like watching a train wreck. It's very, very disturbing to watch, but it's like you just can't look away. That's how I feel about this show. So, if you've never watched the show before, basically it's about American people who they met somebody from another country online and they fell in love with this person. And the show it follows them around while they meet each other for the first time in that person's country. And then later on, the person gets to visit the US on a K1 visa, and the couple has 90 days to get married before the visa expires, or they have to leave the US and return to their country. And at first, I was not really feeling the concept of this show because I felt like it was a bit condescending. The show just assumes that everybody wants to live in the US. I mean, why doesn't the American person move to the other person's country and live there? Like, why is that not an option? Why is it that the person has to come to the US and it's like a competition to see if they can get married within 90 days so they can get to stay? And it just assumes that everybody's goal is to get into the US. But I felt like some of these people, they really just wanted to scam somebody out of their money. They had no interest in moving to the US at all. So let me just break down the couples that really stood out to me. First, there's this woman named Yolanda, and she fell in love with a man named Williams, and he's supposedly from England. But she's never seen this guy before, and every time they video chat, he would claim that his camera is broken, so she couldn't see him. Y'all, if you're ever chatting with somebody online and they claim that their camera is broken, it's a scam, okay? That's like scamming 101 because we're in the 21st century, okay? Everybody nowadays has a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop with a camera. So the whole my camera is broken excuse is just not gonna fly, okay? So anyway, Yolanda and Williams, they talked on the phone for a few months and there was a part of the show where they had his call on loudspeaker and she was all, "Oh my god, his British accent is so cute." And I'm sitting there like, Yolanda, that is not a British accent. That man is Nigerian. You can hear the Nigerian accent in his voice. But she's there like, "Oh my God, his British accent is so cute. It's so sexy." Y'all, I swear to God. I swear to God. Even after he asked her to send him money, she was still entertaining the idea that this guy is real and he's in love with her. I swear to God, Yolanda was just asking to be scammed, okay? She's like the most scammable, catfishable human being in the history of reality TV. Because there were so many like signs and red flags, and she just ignored everything. But anyway, that's another story for another video. Then there was this other couple, David and Lana. And this man, y'all, you know what? I take it back, okay? Yolanda is not the most scammable, catfishable person in the history of reality TV. David is. Okay, y'all, this man went to the Ukraine to meet this woman that he'd been chatting online with for like 7 years. And this was his fourth time going to the Ukraine to meet her. And the first three times after he spent a lot of money on like airfare and hotels and shit, she never showed up. But he still went a fourth time. And guess what? She didn't show up because she does not exist. And y'all, he said he spent over $100,000 on her in the 7 years that they were chatting. This man needs to be slapped. But you know what? That as well is another video for another day. Now, just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, enter baby girl Lisa and Soja Boy. y'all, I can't. And Soja Boy is like the definition of a Nigerian scammer, okay? So Lisa is 54 years old and Soja Boy is 32 and he is somewhat of a celebrity in Nigeria. And he met Lisa online, and the two of them started like this whole long distance relationship thing. And at first I was like, yep, he's a scammer. I'm sorry, y'all, but Nigeria does have a bad reputation when it comes to these things. Don't act like y'all never got an email from a Nigerian prince asking you for your bank account details to send you like a $1 million fortune or something. I'm sure if I check my email right now, I will find one. Okay? So I thought he was just trying to get money from her. But y'all, his scam was a little more intricate than that, okay? This dude literally wanted to marry this heifer so he can get a US green card. Because his whole game plan was he wanted to get into the US because he felt like his music career would have a better chance at taking off if he was in the US. So he was one of the people on the show who they weren't directly scamming to get money, but they really were trying to marry an American person so they could get a US green card. Anyway, these were the couples, and I use that word very loosely because some of these people just did not exist, but these were the couples that stood out to me. But I asked you guys which couple I should review first, and you guys voted for Big Ed and Rosemarie. And I can't say I'm surprised because they were by far the most controversial couple on the whole show. So this is Big Ed. He is 54 years old, he's American, he's divorced, and I guess he's looking for love. And he calls himself Big Ed, but he's like 4 feet tall, and the dude has no neck. Okay, y'all, I'm sorry, but you can't talk about this guy and not mention that he is missing a whole body part. He has no neck. And he reminds me of that pastor, the guy who brought up women on stage at his church and he told them they were fat and stuff. Pastor Travis Jennings, do you all remember him, aka the pastor with no neck? It's like, why is it it's always the men who have no neck that want to treat women like shit? Like, I can't. Anyway, y'all, he met Rosemarie. This is Rosemarie, and she's 23 years old, and she's from the Philippines. And she is a single mother of a 4-year-old boy. So they met online in a chat room or something, and they supposedly fell in love. But I don't believe that either of them really loved each other. I think Ed was just lonely and he wanted companionship. And I mean, well, he's not the best looking guy, so I guess he wasn't very successful finding a partner in real life. So he turned to online. And Rose is from a very poor family. She's had like a really tough life. And seeing the conditions that she was living in, y'all, it literally brought me to tears. So it's really hard not to sympathize with her. But she didn't love that man. She just wanted a way out of her situation and she latched on to the first opportunity. I don't think she loved him, but I think she would have tried to. I feel like she would have been an obedient, loyal wife to him just to be able to make a better life for her son. And as a mother, I get that. So anyway, the first part of the show follows Ed visiting Rose in the Philippines. And a lot of people came away from watching that really hating Ed because he was just very condescending towards her. Like, y'all, he gave her mouthwash and toothpaste as a present and told her breath smells.
This is mouthwash, and I got you a cute toothbrush. Your breath is not pretty. And then I got you good toothpaste.
And at one point, he told her to shave her legs because hairy legs are not feminine. Stuff like that.
Hair just seems kind of less feminine for a woman. So I don't like leg hair. It's gross.
And I'm sitting there watching this like, okay, hairy legs are not feminine to you, but having no neck is not masculine to me. Y'all, I'm sorry. And people were upset, like, watching him continuously humiliating her like that because, I mean, the dude is not a good-looking man, okay? Like, how are you gonna have no neck, but you're telling me to shave my legs? How about you grow a neck and then we'll talk? He's finding all these faults with her. Meanwhile, his head is just sitting there directly on his shoulders. Like, when God was handing out necks, this guy just didn't show up to collect his. But you know what? Let me stop, okay? I just feel like when you look like that, you really have no right to be telling anybody else about their appearance. And I feel like if he truly cared about Rose, he would have told her this stuff in private. Because I mean, the cameras aren't rolling 24/7. He could have had a talk with her in private about her breath or whatever if he had a problem with it. Why did you wait until they're filming to humiliate this woman like that? And then there was a part where he asked her to take an STD test because to him she's just poor and dirty. Okay?
It's STD, which is, I think it's a blood test, and they just test to see if you have like sexually transmitted disease.
And I mean, that's a reasonable request because if a guy asks me to take an STD test, it's not a big deal to me. I would say let's go take one together because that's what couples should do. But she was like, okay, I'll take the test if you take one too. And he was like, nah, I'm not taking a test here because I don't trust the health standards in the Philippines. And I was like, is this dude for real? Like, it's an STD test. It's not open heart surgery. What do you mean you don't trust the health standards there? I just feel like he was being very condescending, not just to Rose and her family, but to the entire country. He was scorning everything and acting like his shit don't stink. And I'm like, Rose, you do not need this in your life. You don't need these kind of problems. Just run. Okay, run, Rose, run. I loved when he told her that he loved her and she responded in Tagalog saying that he's ugly. And he thought that meant I love you too. That was probably my favorite scene between the two of them. That was probably my favorite scene in the entire show.
I love you. I love you.
Pangit mo.
I love you.
Pangit mo.
Does that mean I love you? I hope it means I love you.
But y'all, the disturbing part to me in all of this was all the sexual stuff. Because he brought her presents, but all the presents were like lingerie and panties and stuff. And I'm looking at this like, what a sick pervert. Because he has to know this girl does not love him and she does not want to sleep with him. Because every time you saw them together, she was like leaning away from him or screwing up her face like, ew. And I mean, like, can't you read body language? This girl does not want you. She's just in a very vulnerable position and she's looking for a way out. But all he was thinking about was sleeping with her. And they did end up sleeping together, even though she never took the STD test. So I was like, okay, you made such a big deal about her taking this STD test, and she didn't, but you still slept with her without it. And y'all, she was so embarrassed to admit that they had sex. And I don't blame her because if I had slept with that dude, I was taking that secret to my grave. I feel like that has to be some kind of crime though. Like, isn't this like, I don't know what's the term for it, like sextortion or something? Like, you're traveling to another country to meet somebody who you know is poor and they're in a vulnerable position. And you travel there to have sex with this person with the promise that you'll marry them and take them to the US. That has to be some sort of crime. Like, it's manipulative and it's disturbing. So, y'all, naturally, Ed is getting a lot of hate online and he claims he's being bullied, but I don't think it's bullying. I think it's well-deserved backlash because you took your no-neck having ass to the Philippines to sexually exploit somebody and you didn't expect backlash. Y'all, and I think the producers of this show, they should be ashamed of themselves for filming even like half of this stuff. And I'm thinking, like, did they not offer to help Rose, like set up a GoFundMe to help her make a better life for herself and her son or something, instead of further exploiting this woman and exploiting her desperation for a TV show? Like, I mean, the other couples were entertaining to watch, but this one, it just really disturbed me. And I mean, Rose is not blameless in this whole situation either because she is a grown adult woman. And I do sympathize with her because looking at her living conditions, y'all, it reminded me of how I grew up. I grew up really poor, and I remember bathing from a drum just like that because we didn't have running water. And I remember sleeping on a mattress on the floor with my grandmother and my sisters because we couldn't afford a bed. And the exposed wiring and plumbing and all of that, I grew up just like that. So seeing that, it really took me back and it made me like really emotional. But as a mother, I could never have my son calling some random guy that I met on the internet daddy. Like, not a chance in hell. I don't care how desperate I am. I can't see myself doing it. And I feel like that child will have some issues because the show hasn't finished airing yet, but it's obvious that Ed and Rose are no longer together and they didn't work out. So after you had your child calling this man daddy and bonding with him, he's not a part of your life anymore. And this kid is left feeling abandoned and he's probably wondering why his daddy left. So I feel like Rose should never have exposed her child to that. Like, do what you want. You're a grown woman. You can do what you want and sleep with whoever you want. But I feel like she should not have gotten her child involved. I get that she was desperate, but as a mother, you still have to protect your children. She could have introduced them and stuff, but there was no need to have this child calling this man daddy. But I do hope that the exposure from this show benefits her. I hope she gets like a good manager or somebody who can help her turn that fame into money so she can make a better life for herself and her family. And I see she started vlogging on YouTube, so I hope that becomes a reliable source of income for her. And Ed, well, I hope he just fades away and we never hear about him again. But I see he's selling merch now and he's trying to be an Instagram model. He's capitalizing off this fame and I feel like that's all he wanted. And I really hate that celebrities like Tori Spelling, they're giving this man attention when I feel like they should be offering to help and support Rose. There's a lot more I could say about this disturbing couple, but I'm just going to end it here and I'll let y'all give your thoughts on this whole thing in the comments. So bye guys and thanks for watching.